Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Richard, for the wonderful thought that stemmed out of the Bible reading this evening, reminding us of the way and the work and the reward that a shepherd, in fact, all of us can have. And it's a wonderful thought. And I always, cherished, so to say, his classes. He was my professor in Dallas Theological Seminary. Still, even now, he teaches there. And, everybody loved his class. One of the classes that he offered was spiritual life. And every student, really has loved to attend the class and also were blessed and benefited by his classes. And thank you. I mean, he's a very busy person. Not only teaches at the seminary, but also he's a solicited teacher and a preacher around the globe. He heads the ministry called Reach International, and he's the president, and he teaches and trains the pastors. At the same time, evangelism, as he mentioned, evangelism, touching one life at a time, but he always speaks, to masses, so to say. A group that can house this full auditorium. More than that, in fact, sometimes. So, thank you, Dr. Richard, for the word and also for being here and for the encouraging words. And, as he said, if we can invite, we are good in reaching out to the people. ACFI is known for reaching out the non-Christians, especially the Desi Christmas occasions and things like that. And I'm sure that Pastor Dr. Parak and also, the board will think about, organizing a Desi Christmas and inviting 50%, more than 50% of the non-Christian friends that you all have. He would be a good pick to communicate to them. And thank you once again for the word. Having said that, I would request Brother Mano to please come to the front. And everybody knows Mano, right? Mano Ranjan, right? Mano Ranjan Paul, right? Yeah, we all know him. And of course, we all know Sangeeta and Reuben and Itai. And Mano Ranjan Paul has been said by Dr. Richard and also by Brother Josh that he is the missionary kid, so to say, of late Dr. Paul and also Dr. Mrs. Iris Paul. Most of us know her. And, he hails from that good missionary tradition, so to say. And one of the things that I appreciated Mano, is, God has given him the gift of teaching. He's a good communicator. I always joke around him and say, you talk a lot. Rumbo பேசுறீங்க நீங்க. In any given subject, he will have a whole lot to say about that. So praise God for that gift. That's a spiritual gift that God has vested upon him. And he has been used by God in the ACFI from the incipient stages of this church, I'm sure, as you all know and as you have mentioned. And God has been using him, and we have been blessed by his Bible studies and preachings and things like that, and by his fellowship and friendship too. And, one of the best things about God specializes in equipping the persons whom he calls for a particular task. It is the availability that God expects and the surrender that God expects, the commitment that God expects, but he equips. And God has allowed, God has allowed Mano to do his master's in theology at the specified time in 2 years with straight A's, and he has qualified himself, and finished the master's in theology in last May. But this is something, on the outside. From deep inside, the last 5 years that I've been so closely associated with him, and everybody knows, you can vouchsafe to that, saying, there is a desire in his heart to share the gospel, to take the church to the marketplace. That is the picture that he always carries with himself. And he has practiced that too. And he has expressed the desire that he wants to be ordained as a pastor, so that he can be, it's a credibility. It's not something, special, he is one among us, but it is just a credibility kind of, a special tool that will help to have the access to the places where, in some places, we cannot have access if you are not an ordained minister or something like that. So it's just a tool. And of course, it's a right, R-I-T-E, not right, R-I-G-H-T. But, he has expressed that desire to be ordained as a minister of the gospel. So, as Dr. Richard has mentioned, the Ordination Committee, which comprises of course, Dr. Richard as the convener, and Dr. Samson Parekh, and also Dr. Nainan Varghese, and Pastor Nitin Christopher, and also myself. We 5 of us comprised of the Ordination Committee, and we examined him. And the best thing is, ACFI has not only recognized his gifts, but also fully, the board and the congregation fully supported this ordination, the recommendation for ordination. So with that, the Ordination Committee, examined him on the 25th of last month. And then, of course, it was a 2-hour deal. And, he answered every question we asked about his personal life, his discipline, his spiritual growth, and also his family life, and about the doctrinal issues, his convictions, and all these things, we asked. And, the Ordination Committee felt that, he has answered them real well. And we are all so convinced that God has not only just called him, but also, he has converted him, and he has, kept him and carried him through thus far. And also, he has brought him to a point where he can be commissioned, or as Dr. Richard put it, to consecrate him for this ministry of the gospel as a pastor. So it's my privilege this evening, of course, upon the recommendation of the ACFI Church, we, the Ordination Committee, also, recommend that Mano Ranjan Paul may be considered for ordination this evening. So with that, I would request Pastor Nitin to come and take the vows from our dear brother.